Jai Hind everyone. My name is Chhaya Yadav, Assistant Professor in CS Department in AKGEC. So today we are going to start a new lecture, first lecture on Python programming. Subject code is KNC 402. So today we are going to start from the introduction. Basically, what is Python, who invented Python, and what is the process of Python programming. So as you know, Python is a popular programming language. It is a high-level language and it was created by Godot van Rossum and released in 1991. So basically, it is used for web development, data processing, software development, mathematics, and system scripting. So we use Python programming as comparison to other languages like C languages, Java languages. So we use Python programming because Python is more reliable and easy to use and easy to learn. We can easily learn Python programming as comparison to other languages because there is no need to intermediate any code. It is directly created a source code and directly print a command through interpreter. Now, what can Python do? What can Python do? Basically, Python can be used on a server to create web applications. As I already told you in previous slide that Python, why we use Python. Python basically we use for the development, for the implementations. So Python can be used to create web applications and data processing, and it can be used alongside software to create workflows like implementation and data processing, data identifications and all. Python can connect to database systems and it can read and modify files. Means we can create a database by using Python, just like MySQL, MongoDB and all. And it can also read and modify files. Means we can use Python to create a files and to modify the files of a system. So basically, Python can be used to handle big data and perform complex mathematics. It is also used to perform complex calculations and problems of complex calculations. It is find out the solution of the problems. And Python can be used for rapid prototyping or for production-ready software development. Means we can develop any website, we can create any software by using Python language. Why Python? Why we use Python? Because Python works on different platforms, just like any other languages, and we use Python because it is easy to learn. So we use Python because this language works on different platforms like Windows, Mac, Linux, Unix, Raspberry Pi, etc. And it has a simple syntax similar to English language. Like we are writing a sentence in English language, as well as just like similar to English language, we write code in Python also. Just like okay, I am my name is this. So basically in English language, normal sentence is my name is XYZ. So in Python, we only write that sentence and print as it is by the interpreter or through the interpreter, whatever you write the sentence. Python has syntax that allows developer to write programs with fewer lines than some other programming languages. Like it is much smaller and their code, source code is much smaller as comparison to other languages. Like if I am talking about C language, if I am talking about Java, so the source code of C language and Java is more complex than Python. And in Python, there is a small source code that we can use and run the programs. So basically, it is the source code are much slower than as comparison to other languages. And next is Python runs as an interpreter system. Interpreter system, just like whatever you are write, whatever you are written in a source code, it print as it is that you have wrote. Like I am write print hello world. So it print as it is whatever you are wrote. No needs of modifications, no less chances of errors occurs in Pythons. It means that code can be executed as soon as it is written. What I have already told you, that whatever you are written in command prompt than the code as it is generate an output whatever you are written. This means that prototyping can be very quick, means the result can occur quickly. Okay, so no need to wait and no need to just like source code, or no need large number of errors are required, less. So we use Pythons. That's why we use Pythons. Now Python can be treated in a procedural way, means to run the code in a Python is depend on procedure to procedure. Like we have a procedure to run any code from given input to generate output. An object oriented way or a functional way. It is a object oriented way or a functional way to use a Python. So basically Python, there are just like of similar or most common syntax compared to other programming language. The syntax of Python is just very easy to as comparison to other languages. Just like Python was designed for readability and has some similarities to the English language with influence from mathematics. Python uses new lines to complete a command. When we write source code, then we need to write lines to lines. Then it uses new line for each command or for each sentence to run the output and to complete a command, as opposed to other programming language which often use semicolons or parentheses. As we all know, in C programming, in C language, we use a semicolon at the end of every sentence, and we need to open curly braces and closed curly braces in C language, and in Java also. But in Python, no need to use curly braces, no need to use semicolons at the end of every lines. So you need only write the sentences and just print the output command. Python relies on indentations. Indentation we will discuss later, but let me tell you the meaning. Indentation is just like the spaces. Using white space to define scope, such as the scope of loops and functions and classes. Just like in Python, we use indentation, means the spaces after every line. We need to just click on a space button. Why we use a space button? Because it works such as like a loop, functions and the classes in Python. But in other programming language, the loops and the functions are used in the brackets as well. So there are various softwares to install Python, but I am telling you the two methods for installing the Python. First is you need to just download directly from the Google, that is python.org. and you will get a latest Python softwares, and directly you will click on that link and you will directly get the Python software. After that, you see many PCs and Macs will have Python already installed, but if your system has not already installed Python, then you need to directly go from the Google and just click on the link, that python.org, and you will get the software. So how do we know that Python is installed in our software? That you need to follow a simple step to check if you have Python installed on a window. Just search in the start button, that is the right corner of the system, for Python, or run the following on the command, just like cmd.exe. You will search, the command prompt will open on your system, that is the just like black color window is directly open on your system, and or you can search by the command. This is the user/name python-version. If you click, if you write this command, then Python already installed on your computer, and it will directly reflect on your screen if the Python is installed on your system. And to check if you have Python installed on a Linux or a Mac, then on Linux open the command line, or a Mac open the terminal and type. So that this is all about for the installation of Python. How do we start a Python? Like, we have to quick start a Python. Basically, as we all know, and as I have already told you, Python is an interpreted programming language. This means that as a developer, we write Python. Means if we want to write a code in a file, then we need to save that file. And we save that file by the name .py, or as in the place of py, we save the file by the name of .python. So we can create a folder to write the code in Notepad shell. There is a command, there is a window of Python software, and when we open that window, that is Notepad shell or prompt shell, then you will create a folder and you have to save a file for writing the source code. So we save a file by the name of xyz.py, or we can write xyz.python. So py or Python is same. In text editor is just like a file that you open, that is Notepad shell that you are going to use to write a source code and save your code, and then put those files into the Python interpreted to be executed. So I told you that we need to create a file and save the file by .py and .python, and then those file into the Python interpreted to be executed. Means when you enter the command, then the file will directly reflect on the output window, that is command window, and directly run your code. Okay. The way to run a Python files is like this on the command line. Like, you run the Python files and directly reflect on the command line, and it will be reflect like abc.py or xyz.py. As you already seen in the example in PPT, I have given C username Python hello world.py. So hello world.py is the file name that you saved on a Notepad shell, okay, that you installed, where hello world.py is the name of your Python file that you are going to use or to write the code in Python file. Okay, so let me tell you one thing. We can write the code directly on a command window, or we can create a file first and save a file first. After that, we can print, or we can run a source code. So first, we directly run a code. No need to write a file, no need to save a file. Directly open the command prompt and write your code, just like print hello world, and print the enter button, and you will get the output. But if we want to store our program simultaneously one by one, and we want that our program is saved in our file for future use, so we need to create a file, we need to create and to save a file. So first, we create a file and save the file by the .py or .python, as I told you. After that, you write the code in the particular file that you have saved, like print hello world. When you print the output enter button to get the output, then command window directly reflect on the command prompt, and it will show you the output. Okay, as you can see that the line which is written in PPT, save your file, open your command line, navigate to directory where you saved your file, and run the code. Okay, now comes to the command line, Python command line. I am talking about the command prompt. Command prompt, just like the black window where you can directly write the code and run the code directly on command prompt. No need to save a file, no need to create a file. But this command line is used for small programming code, and large complex code is quite difficult for the command line. So we use command line directly for running the small type of codes, not large complex codes. So basically, how do we start the command line? First, to test a short amount of code in Python, sometimes it is quickest and easiest not to write the code in a file, as I have already told you that you not need to create any file, not need to save any file. If you want to write a small type of code, then you can directly run on a command prompt and directly put the enter button and you will get the output. Okay, so for starting the command line, first we need to start to follow the following steps. Just like first we need to write to start the code in command line by the name which is greater than sign and by the name of Python. We can start username / name greater Python, or we can start from in place of Python by py, and we will write the code. Just I am telling you that we start a code in command line. So basically we follow first step. This is step number 1. After that we will write the code. We write the code just like print okay, and after that we do not want to write any kind of code and we want to exit. We want to print this code and after that we want to exit. So just print enter button, you will get the output okay, whatever you print. Okay, and we want to exit from this command line, then you need to apply this exit function. This exit function, just like you need to write only exit function and this code will get out from the particular command window. So this is all about the command line. Okay, I have told earlier about the indentation, but from this we will discuss in detail what is indentation and what is the use of indentation. As you know that indentation refers to the spaces at the beginning of a code line. Means it directly refers to the spaces. Spaces means we need to apply spaces after each line, after each condition before the print command. So if you can see this example. I am telling you if 5 is greater than 2, this is a condition, that we need to print the command, like we need to print 5 is greater than 2. So we need to apply one space, at least one space before printing and after the conditions. So we apply one space, then print 5 is greater than 2. So this means Python indentation is mandatory, is necessary in every source code, and you need to apply at least one space before the print functions. Okay, if you write any conditions and after that you will print any message or any output, then you have to apply Python indentation, means you have to apply the spaces as well. You can see the I have mentioned 2 or 3 examples to show the difference of indentations, that if is it possible to always click one space and 2 or 3 space can be worked. Just you can see the second example. If 5 is greater than 2, print 5 is greater than 2. So we apply one space only after if conditions before the print command. Okay, and in second statement, if 5 is greater than 2, then we applied 2 or 3 spaces. Then it will reflect an error or it will give a right result. What do you say? You can see that one space applying first and one space apply in 2 or 3 space applying in second condition. Then it will generate an output. There is no need of effect in the lines because the condition is different. If the same line of code is given here and number of spaces reflect, like one number of reflexes is there and 3 or 4 reflexes is there, then it will show an error. Let me tell you. You can see this line. If 5 is greater than 2 and I am writing 2 lines in the same conditions, but the spaces is different, so it will give you the error. Means you have to create a space, same number of space if you writing same lines, or if you writing similar kind of lines under same conditions. So this is all about the indentations. Comes to the Python variables. Python variables are created when you assign a value to it. Like variables, just like anything else, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, my name, another name is just like variable. And we use variable to assign the value of particular variables. Like we want to print 5. So we have to assign that 5 to a particular variable to print that numbers. Okay. As you can see that X equal to 5 means we have to assign this 5 to a particular variable for printing. Okay, next is Y equal to hello world. You will get an output, you will print hello world, that you have to assign that hello world to a particular variable. So this is all about variables. Python has no command for declaring a variables. A variable is created the moment you assign a value it. Means there is no command, no any data type for declaring variables. As you see, in C language, we need data types like integers, characters, float for declaring any kind of variables. Like you are declaring 5, then you need a data type int to declare a 5. That 5 is relatable to the integer numbers, that you need to declare a int. But in Python, we do not need any kind of data type for declaring any kind of variables, any kind of string, any kind of numbers, any kind of decimal numbers. We do not need any type of data type. We just assign that value which we print to a particular variable, and directly we enter our output, enter command, and the output will reflect automatically. Okay, just like this. Okay, so class, we will discuss another topics a day after tomorrow. This is all about today. Thank you.